And now it's time for some Primetime Crisis. Eric and I are going to talk about a bunch of TV that we watched from this last week, and it's not going to be like the old Primetime Crisis. I know this has been a long time since we've used this header at all. It's not going to be like the old Primetime Crisis where we're talking about primarily comic book shows and things, and it's not going to be, I mean, some of that stuff will come up, obviously, but it won't just be that. And this week it's mostly going to be sci-fi stuff. We also are not going to be keeping up week to week with any particular show where it's like this time we're talking about this episode, this time we're talking about this episode. We're going to keep checking in and out of shows. So whatever.
If we watch something this week, we watch something this week. If we don't, we didn't.
And
but we'll
if
probably
we let
catch
something
up.
sit for a few weeks, we'll catch up, and then we'll talk about that. Sort of like we did with Gotham.
Yeah, we just did a video about Gotham. If we catch up on Gotham next week, we'll talk about Gotham next week. If we don't catch up on Gotham for 2 more weeks, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, and so each Primetime Crisis will probably have 3-4 shows. Different things we're talking about. Some new, some retro. And some weeks I bet there's going to be nothing but retro. But there's so much on right now. I should mention that I am going to watch at least the first episode or 2 of Gifted and deal with that next week.
Okay.
And I'll mention at the end of the Omnibus show some other things that we're going to try to get to next week. But anyway, why don't we go ahead and get started, and let's start off catching up on Orville.
Yeah, let's talk about the Orville!
Let's talk about the Orville! Okay, now, that we did that first time ironically. It is less ironic now.
No,
I am enjoying this show.
I'm enjoying the show as well.
It's
the best Star Trek show on television. It's the only Star Trek show on television.
Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about the weirdness of these 2 shows being on at the same time when we get to Discovery. Don't let me forget to do that.
I will not.
But I want to just kind of talk about the Orville a little bit. So we're going to just talk about the last 2 episodes. We haven't covered everything, certainly. Maybe we can go back for just a second and mention a couple of things. We didn't really care very much for the retread of For the World is Hollow and I Have
But it has my favorite joke in the whole show, which is the quote joke. Where she says a quote and he goes Shakespeare, and she says somebody else, and then he just starts naming people. He's like, yes, of course.
That was pretty good. I don't think that's the best.
That's my favorite
thing of the show, but
that's my favorite joke so far.
That's pretty funny, no? Because we do that in Star Trek, and everybody's read everything.
Everyone knows. Yeah, I love that he just starts saying names. I thought that was really funny.
And she's way more educated than him, and yeah, it's great. But that episode was kind of dull.
And that we assume all quotes are Shakespeare.
And was the most callable show. But it was odd because Liam Neeson shows up at the end.
Because they're best friends.
The third episode we were enamored with. We just loved.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
The episode where we learn more about the kind of Worf stand-in, the guy who his whole race is male, and he and his mate have he sits on an egg, and they have a child that is female and has to be.
In their society, if you're born female, they genetically alter.
They genetically make you male, and I thought it was really smart and sophisticated. I thought it was really mature about it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is a real science fiction plot, like you would do on Star Trek.
Yeah, I loved that they weighed the pros and cons of it, and they tried to change the rules, and at the end of the day, they lost. That was handled really, really maturely. And for the show that's supposed to be a comedy, I was really impressed with that.
And this last episode, Krill has a similar ending where they win, but they lose.
Yeah. Don't you feel like this show doesn't have the problem so much, and maybe it never did. Maybe we overthought it of not knowing if it wants to be a comedy or if it wants to be a drama. I feel like it's finding that balance okay.
I think
at least it's starting to.
I think sometimes it gets away with things, or it thinks it gets away with things because it's a comedy.
No, that is a problem. That's true.
Because my biggest issue.
But does it have an identity issue? It's so much.
I think a little bit.
Maybe
so, like, Krill is really good. I really liked Krill. My problem is they keep making jokes on the Krill ship, and none of the Krill comment because it's a comedy.
Well,
it's
they
like
keep
that.
Using and well, that's the thing. Is it a sitcom or is it a No, that's true. I guess it does sort of have that problem.
So, like, that's an issue. But like, you don't really think about where you're watching it, and the joke.
But I don't think the comedy is deflating the drama. Is that what I mean?
No, the drama still works. It's just.
I'm not watching this thing going, stop trying to be serious, I want jokes. And I'm surprised that I'm not doing that if it's supposed to be a comedy. Like,
sometimes
I want it to go the other
jokes.
way. I kind of want it to stop feeling the need to throw jokes in every so often.
Yes.
Like, it has gotten funnier.
I just want Seth MacFarlane to make Star Trek, really.
Yeah, because the big thing I've learned about Seth MacFarlane, I'm going to eat my hat when I say this, he gets Star Trek.
Yeah,
this guy
absolutely.
this guy should be show running a Star Trek show. He gets Star Trek. Let me ask you this. Is it business? Are the jokes there so he can sell the show in the first place?
I don't know.
Especially because...
I think it's possible it's a writing crutch. He doesn't think he can do the show unless there's jokes.
Right, but how much of it is also... It's not a parody, then it's a ripoff, and he wouldn't be allowed to make the show that's pretty much just Star Trek.
That's possible, too.
Yeah. So I don't know. But, you know, even if it never fully finds that balance, because you're starting to win me over with your argument, even if it never fully finds that balance, I'll take it. I'm enjoying the show.
It's good enough that I'm able to excuse it. And it works on that joke thing of, like, here's 100 jokes, and, like, I think their joke ratio is somewhere between...
for a percentage.
Yeah,
most certainly.
But I think the joke ratio is maybe, like, 60 to 80%. Like, I think... most of the jokes land on some level. They're not all great, not all the greatest jokes, but I think I like more jokes than I dislike by a larger margin.
Some of the raunchiness and potty humor. I don't know if that will be a trend where they'll keep like inching away from that, where it's just like that's MacFarlane humor, so it has to start there. But
it's making worse.
Mine's out. I should get you just a smaller bill.
It's fine.
We gotta figure these chairs out.
Yeah, sorry. First time. Well, maybe if I put lower.
First
nope,
time.
that's not. No.
No, it's probably just too.
It's because I'm sitting too.
We should. I don't know. You want to get like a
no,
or something?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Anyway, you want the feeling it sign? That's not a good idea. It'll ring. So
Brand can make a new one, and it'll look exactly like this one.
But yeah, let's just break down those last two episodes just a little bit. So Priya is so weird because it's the best episode of that show until you get to the end and it becomes an absolute quagmire of time travel. But
doesn't that feel kind of Star Trek-y?
No, it goes too far with it. Yeah,
you think so?
Yeah, because usually with a Trek show like that, at least at the end of the day, if you had like the sort of lame ending where everything's reset, I at least know for sure what my characters will remember, or what most of the time. It was almost more like a I don't know, like a Foreign Enterprise way of doing it. And even that usually doesn't go that far. But
so it's really good. It's probably the best episode of the show. But then the ending does this thing where it's like, okay, we have these established time travel rules, and then there's a hole to the future, and people from the future come back and steal things that are going to be in crashes.
Yeah.
Or going to be destroyed, so no one will miss them, and they can take them to the future, and they're worth money because they're these old historic things.
Which is a really cool idea.
It's a great idea.
It's basically reverse Berlin Hot Rasmussen.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So at the end, they go, well, we're going to blow up the wormhole. And she says, well, if you blow up the wormhole, I never came through, you never met me. And there's a whole thing where he kind of gets over his ex more with her because he kind of starts a relationship with this girl and he really likes her.
And you know something's off, and honestly, it didn't go where I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to turn out that like she was doing this duplicitous thing, she was deceiving them, but like her heart would be in the right place. No, she's a con artist.
And we didn't call this episode. We kept being like, oh, so it's going to be this. Oh, that's not what it's going to be this.
We had the exact opposite thing we had with Gotham the week before, where we kept making jokes, and then they turned out to be what was happening. With this, we were trying to call things. I thought she was going to be an alien. She's not an alien.
Yep.
29th century was weird.
Yeah.
That she's from exactly the 29th century. That's Time Fleet and Voyager. I thought it was strange. Like, maybe he did that as an homage, but because this is so straight up Star Trek, I don't know if that counts. I don't know if you should do that. I would have maybe picked a different century. I don't know. But anyway.
But so at the end of the episode,
that's a nitpick. That's not important, but it was weird in my brand.
They blow up this because
then I start wondering if she's Union when she says that.
Yeah.
You know? But anyway.
The problem is, one, they're supposed to die. And if she doesn't pilot them through that, how did they not die?
Yeah.
All of the interactions between the characters seem to be exactly the same, which maybe the second best joke in the entire show is in this episode with the leg.
It's great.
It's wonderful.
It's a wonderful physical pratfall joke. And then, but I called it. The next episode, we know at least some of it happened.
At least the leg thing happened.
Yep.
So we don't really know.
Now, it is a thing you can come back to and explain later, because I will bet you $500 Priya is a recurring character.
Yeah. Which is Charlize Theron, who's I think my favorite actress.
She's
of all time.
incredible.
Or at least right now.
She is. You remember how you said she's Vash? She's Q and Vash.
Yeah.
She's both.
Yeah.
She's not omnipotent, but she's got this ability nobody else has because she comes from the future, and she is very much a similar kind of rival for him. I would imagine going forward.
If she comes back.
Yeah, she's going to come back, right?
She has to. She's great.
I kind of think they might do kind of a running gag with it, where every time she comes back, it's the first time. Like, I think she's going to be a recurring character, but
and he never knows what's up with her.
He never knows what's up with her, yeah. And that could maybe be fun. The wardrobe department in that episode is showing off.
Every scene, she's in a different costume. They all look great and
amazing, yeah.
It's such good future wear. It looks cool and not modern.
Yeah, McFarlane is clearly going back, or just the people making those costumes, or going back and TNG and DS9 and going, yeah, we can do better than that. Like,
yeah, that doesn't work. We'll do it. We'll do it better.
We're going to actually try to imagine what the fashions might be like in the future. But that episode was so much fun. The Mr. Potato thing had me rolling.
Oh, yeah, it was hilarious.
So
it was hilarious.
And then the leg thing is such a great payoff to that.
Yep.
And I think that's a really good example of why it's kind of cool and okay for this show to go a lot farther with its comedy sometimes than like a Star Trek would. Like that's the kind of thing where it's clever and like almost too far, if that makes any sense.
When the legging falls out of the light picture, he's like, we're not even going to address that. We got to talk about this.
We watched that one with Jason. He thought it was really funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, the next episode was
Krill.
Yeah, it was cool. Sorry, excuse me. I was trying to remember the name of that. I was trying to remember what happened in that because we were going back to the episode from before. Anyway, sorry. But I like the Krill as a race a lot.
Me too.
And again, kind of looking at Discovery right now, like I don't understand their bad guy race. I don't understand their Klingons. Like, forget the fact that they're not anything like Klingons. I don't even understand what they've reinterpreted them as exactly yet. And the Krill right away, like, I totally get them and what they're about. And I think it's really it's a cool idea to have a race that's raised entirely in darkness, and they have this really kind of pessimistic, way of looking at things.
Space vampires.
We're vampire hunters. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Great. I really like that guy, the helmsman. I really like him. I like both of them.
I kind of like everybody in the show at this point.
Palaki's the only one that
I'm with you. But I mean, she had some okay lines here and there.
No, she's all right, but she's the only one I don't really like.
But I mean, like the gunner is hilarious. The robot guy is. I mean, like, we could do more with him, but he's funny. So
I'm waiting for his episode.
And I really expected to not really care for or be totally indifferent to the to the girl with the strength.
Yeah. I don't remember.
The chief of security.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of security. She's great.
Yeah. No. She's.
And they gave her an episode early on, and like she really held her own. I thought she was great.
Yep. And this episode is just Seth MacFarlane and whoever plays the helmsman. It's mostly them.
They have a lot of comedic chemistry.
Yeah.
Together.
Well, when we cut back at the end, I was like, oh yeah, we haven't seen the rest of the cast for like 20 minutes.
And it was fun to play with the standard trope of going undercover and pretending to be another race. And they did with holograms instead of actually being surgically altered.
Did they ever explain why the interference happens?
I feel like there wasn't. I feel like it made sense.
Okay.
I can't remember now. It's been a while since we watched it, but no, it made sense in the moment.
Okay.
I think. I really like the attention to detail in the makeup in this show. We're doing things. We are pushing envelopes a little bit with some of the things that we're doing, at least physically, in this show. And I think moving forward we might push more story envelopes. But right now it kind of feels like more TNG, but with some modern sensibilities and with a little bit more inner continuity, like week to week, day to day. But like they're not gonna do the ethics thing where Worf's gonna need to go through therapy to get his legs working. The next week he's fine. Like, this show won't do that. But it's not going as far as I'd love to see a Star Trek go. But it's also not Star Trek, so...
Yeah.
But anyway, it's, but with the makeup thing, it's really cool that the Krill, anatomy in the face is different male to female.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with that.
The men have these, like, chin things.
Yeah, and then the women have them almost like inverted. It's almost like they're there, but they don't protrude.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was really cool.
The ending of that episode I think is haunting.
Yeah.
When he because they kill everyone on that ship except for the kids. They find out there's children. They put all the children in one place and kill everyone else on the ship.
And he makes a real connection with that woman.
Yeah, yeah. And then at the end, when he talks about how like he won't kill kids, it's not their fight. They're not soldiers. They're not the enemy. And then the woman's like, you just made every single one of them their enemy. They've seen the horrific levels you're willing to go to. What do you think that's going to do them?
You killed all their parents.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was great.
Yeah, you just made them all Batman.
And there's at least one line per episode for the past 3 episodes.
And they've already been taught that you're the enemy?
Yeah, yeah.
So
and you're just
they already have
reinforcing
that built into their ideology? Yeah.
I think there's been, at least one line per episode for the past 3 episodes where we were like, oh, that's a really good line. Like, that's a legitimately really good line.
The one there that stuck with me, I don't remember what exactly the places were, but we don't have beaming in this show. Mm-hmm. It's apparently a futuristic technology. And she has a line where she's talking about transporting, and she says you can breathe in one state, and then you exhale in another state. That's a really good line.
Yeah, yeah. You can take a breath in New York and exhale in Paris.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's really good.
I am having a newfound respect for McFarlane.
Me too.
Because we have to remember that he wrote those lines.
He has written every episode so far, which for any television show is impressive.
And he's starring in it. Mm-hmm. And might I say, he's doing a fine job.
He is.
Like I like him. I like that he's kind of the straight man of the show. I mean, like he has jokes and things. We thought he was going to be a lot more of like a bumbling idiot captain, and they still can't decide how good he is at his job. That's still sort of a problem.
Yeah.
But he's like he wants the spotlight. He wants to be the star of his own show, but he's not taking it away from his ensemble cast.
Yeah,
and he's already giving other people like I feel like
second episode he was off the board for a while, and it was all about the security officer.
He's a real leader. I mean, of his show.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, my hand's kind of off to him. I'm impressed with him. I don't always like his humor. I don't always think he's funny. And I'm not a big fan of other things he's done in the past. But you asked me earlier, like, do I think now he's earned his spot on Star Trek documentaries? Because I used to get annoyed that he would show up in so many Star Trek documentaries just because he's this, really well-known guy who knows Star Trek. No, he deserves it now. Especially because he's filling a void.
Mm-hmm. He's the only person making Star Trek.
Wish he could make Star Trek.
Yeah, because no one else is.
Yep, but he kind of is. It's a good show.
We're both enjoying it.
It ain't perfect, but man, I think it could turn into excellence.
I agree.
I really do.
I think it'd be something really special.
I feel like we're in like a Patrick Warburton tick place with this show. We're like, if only that show had gotten to keep going. Like, if it turned into something really special, the show is probably going to get to keep going, and we might be in for quite a treat. I'm going to go that far.
Yep, I agree.
I know I might sound kind of backwards from where I was. And I mean, I turned my sign green.
Yeah, I did too. We both liked it.
We both liked it.
I thought it had potential.
But we were pretty critical of it. We were pretty skeptical. And, I mean, heck, they're making me like that actress that plays the Doctor. I hate her and everything. Like...
To be fair, she's not playing an unlikable character.
No, she's not. No, and she's that's Penny Johnson. She's a good actress. She always plays characters I don't like. So I'm impressed with McFarlane for writing her as a likable character. I hope she doesn't turn somewhere.
Yeah, but no, and I hate McFarlane far more than you do. I think, like, as I've been exposed to more of his material.
Yeah.
I like the show quite a bit.
Yeah.
I look forward to watching it when we watch it.
And Norm Macdonald.
I love Norm Macdonald.
He's hilarious.
I love Norm Macdonald and everything. I love that he's just this weird, pervy, gelatinous thing.
And it's fun that they have creatures like that aren't humanoid.
Yep. Yep.
So that's Orville.
Yep.
We're excited.
Yeah.
We're feeling it right now.
We both like it a lot.
So I'll talk a little bit about Discovery. I don't want to get too far into it because I'm just going to repeat myself. But I do feel the need to weigh in on it a little bit. And I mean, I will come in and out. I'm still watching it. Very reluctantly.
I watched episode 4 and I dropped off.
Now, you said you'd come back if I really wanted you to.
I said I would come back and do the season overview when it drops on Netflix, or I guess on All Access if you still have All Access.
Yeah,
I'll marathon through it.
Yeah, but I think...
Yeah.
I think you want to break with the show. I don't think it's going to binge well.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, you're right.
Look, if the Klingons get too much dialogue, you're just going to punch the TV. You're not going to want to watch it anymore. You're just going to punch the TV.
It's true.
So
maybe I'll catch up.
So here's the thing: but
you're going to have to rewatch those because we have to watch them upstairs for All Access is.
Well, that's okay. We'll just start really late at night, and I'll take a really nice nap. So here's the thing: I was more optimistic after the third episode.
We kept calling the second pilot.
Okay, and had some real potential, even though I still thought it was way too dark and broody for no good reason. And then the next episode went right back to the pilot, and characters stopped making sense, and characters I thought were really interesting stopped being interesting. And I don't think this show is Star Trek.
And everyone hates each other.
They all hate each other for no reason.
Everyone hates each other for no reason.
They got away from that a little bit in episode 6, and I think we are seeing a massive ping-pong game being played between these writers. It is really interesting. You said the show got renewed already. It's really interesting that the critics were raving about it. I don't know what critics are saying now. I don't know if anybody's still watching and reviewing it as far as like the mainstream, critics go. I know there's even plenty of fans that are still digging on the show for one reason or another. I don't want to talk about that or get in fights with people and stuff. To each his own, whatever. I don't think the show works at all, really, and I don't want to think that it's completely unsalvageable. But any way you slice it, I mean. It's not Star Trek. I mean, like I've said before.
It's also not good drama. It is the paint by numbers drama.
So far, yeah. Like I've said before, it doesn't really fit into any kind of a continuity. It's very much a reboot that won't admit it. I've said that before, and there's no coming back from that. And if it got a second season and not as an anthology show, I guess we're just stuck with a third Star Trek continuity that we have to be in denial about because they're telling us it counts. It really doesn't make any sense. They have this isn't totally like a major reason I'm saying that, but I just thought of it. Eric, they have like super sophisticated holodecks in the show.
Do they?
Yeah. This last episode, they did a simulation where they were fighting Klingons in a really sophisticated, like way more sophisticated holodeck than we've ever seen before. They're just going full tilt with extrapolating from now and going well past TNG with the technologies. And I don't understand why. I still don't get why you just didn't go to the future. I don't know what this adds. I don't understand. We tried to flesh out. I'm going to jump all over the place. We tried to flesh out some of the stuff with Burnham's background, with being raised by Sarek, and her dynamic with Spock and stuff. They talk about it. We don't see him, but they talk about it. And it's convoluted. Like, I just don't understand the point of it. It feels really redundant. The whole idea is supposed to be that Sarek is worried that the Vulcans are looking down on humans as almost like a subspecies, and I mean, there's always been a little bit of that. I think. I mean, you look at Spock, and he always acted really superior, to humans. That like you guys should repress your emotions. We are more civilized than you are, But the idea in this apparently is that Sarek has like multiple facets of this grand plan to create a better cohabitation between humans and Vulcans, and part of it is marrying a human woman and having a human son or a half-human son, which seems which never seemed calculated to me. When you remember Journey to Babel, when he says it seemed logical at the time, it didn't really seem to be because I wanted to make sure I had a half-human baby. Like,
it just seemed like.
But that's what they're doing with him now.
They fell in love kind of a thing.
Yeah, and then his other facet of this plan is to raise a human like a Vulcan and then get her into the Vulcan Science Academy. And we learn in this episode that Burnham always thought that she had disappointed Sarek in not getting into the Vulcan Science Academy, and it turns out that he lied to her, and it wasn't that she didn't get in, it was that the Vulcan Science Academy couldn't tolerate his getting both of his kids in because he was able to convince them to let one sort of pseudo half Vulcan get in the Science Academy, but not both. You can't have both. So he had to pick one. So he picked Spock, but then
his blood.
But then Spock won't go. and Spock goes to Starfleet instead, like he always did in the continuity, and that has a lot more to do with their friction. That like he really needed Spock to go, and he wouldn't do it, and now Burnham's left out in the cold. So like, I don't hate that, but I don't like the idea in the first place. Is the problem? You know what I mean? Like there's like that's kind of interesting, but but it also feels really convoluted. That like why are we adding so much random stuff to Sarek? Like why couldn't she just be raised by somebody else? I mean, I guess it is kind of weird that it would be weird if you had a half Vulcan, you also had a human raised by Vulcans.
But
like,
but you still have all this weird stuff of it's such a big deal that Spock is on the ship, but it's not a big deal that Spock wouldn't be as big a deal.
And there's a Vulcan Starfleet admiral in this episode. Doesn't make any sense.
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
I don't get it. He was wearing a Starfleet uniform. I mean, he was Vulcan. I don't know. If somebody has an explanation for that, let me know. But it seems like they're just saying Spock is not the only Vulcan in Starfleet. And I mean, like I don't want to say it's bad just because it's counter to continuity, but I don't know why the Vulcan cohabitation thing is such a big deal if there are Vulcans in Starfleet.
Yeah.
That's part of it too. And it's just, at the very least, it's counterintuitive. But what I was going to say about writers earlier is this is at least co-written by Joe Menosky, who was one of the big main writers during the 24th century era, and I think he wrote some TNG, and maybe he did some Voyager. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked into him, and he was able to bring back to inject a little bit more of the humanity into it, I thought, and I didn't hate everyone as much as I had before. Anyway,
I hate everyone.
There's this, but if you watch this episode, like it's better. But it feels like he's frustrated. It feels like he's trying to write Star Trek and he's stuck in a show that's not really Star Trek. You know, there's this whole thing about Burnham really pushing Tilly like to the max so that she can like try to go up in ranks and be a captain like she wants to, and so at least have people helping each other in some way. Mm-hmm. I kind of like the dynamic between Lorca and the Starfleet officer that he just rescued in the previous episode, which is really awful, but I'll talk about that for a second. But he rescues this other officer from a Klingon ship that he's stuck in a cell with, and he makes him his I forget, a helmsman or something, I can't remember, but he makes him one of the main officers on the ship, and they have kind of a cool dynamic, and we do finally make it really clear that Lorca is supposed to be a broken man. That he for sure, and we found out last episode what his big mistake was, but it felt like just everybody's going to have that kind of thing in this show. He really shouldn't be in command. He's messed up. He's broken.
Okay.
And I mean, it's laid on too thick. But the female admiral, I think from a few episodes ago, I think she was in the third episode, it turns out they used to have a fling, and she comes on the ship and they sleep together, and then she freaks out on it, and she's already really worried about him. I mean, she's trying to get him to get some help, and like mental help. And they sleep together, and then she like just rolls over or gets up or something, and he like loses it on her because he's not used to having somebody else in his bed, right? And he's just paranoid, and he gets up and he pulls a phaser on her, and
it's like PTSD.
Yeah, and he's got a phaser in his bed, and she freaks out on him because he sleeps with a phaser. And so, like, he clearly is not in his right mind and is not supposed to be a heroic character. I wasn't sure the episode before. I mean, like, I know that we got the backstory about
he could be tragic heroic.
About his destroying his ship, and, like, letting everybody die so that they didn't get picked up by Klingons, but, like, being too much of a coward to die with them. But I mean, there wasn't, again, it didn't feel like there was really any humanity in it. It felt like it was just, like, another excuse to make these people like flawed characters, you know what I mean? And like, I feel like if Menosky had written that script, I would have gotten it more. I just feel like there's like a lack of communication. Lorca is back to being more interesting again. So like, it's so inconsistent. Like I still don't like it, but I'm seeing some potential here and there. In the previous episode, I love the guy playing Mod, and he comes back apparently in the very next episode. So I'm kind of excited about that. But I really like the guy playing Mod. I don't like some of what they give him to do. I guess what he does is kind of what Mudd would do. I guess like he's he kind of double crosses Lorca so that because he doesn't think he's ever going to escape, so that the Klingons won't hurt him, and he does everything he can so that he doesn't get punished by the Klingons. And but I guess my issue with him is just more like him as a plot device, what it leads to with Lorca, because Lorca just leaves him behind. Like, he leaves him in the cell and runs, and like, that's not what a Starfleet officer would do. But I couldn't decide if the episode was playing it as heroic or he's a broken man, and apparently he's morally bereft or at least ambiguous, and this is not normal behavior. Here's the problem. I've said this before, but I didn't get enough of a sense of what the status quo of this world was, and I'm not trusting it. You have to come to the show knowing that Star Trek is supposed to be an optimistic future. It's the only way you can watch it and get what they think you're supposed to be getting from it. Like, you know me, I don't want to get political on the show, but I cannot not bring this up. The producers of this show, and I guess the cast and crew, are like begging the president to watch this show because maybe it'll rub off on him and he'll be more optimistic. What are they talking about? Like, I just don't see it. I don't understand. I don't know what they're talking about. This show. This
garbage, terrible, everyone hates everyone, and what?
See what I'm saying?
Sure, ask them to watch Star Trek, but not this.
Yeah.
That's obnoxious.
That's great. I mean, you could list right now 3 or 5 TNG episodes. That's a really good idea. Drumhead.
Yeah. This show.
Isn't that bizarre?
That makes me not want to watch it on principle.
I'm sorry, I just don't know what they're talking about. I just don't know what they're talking about.
What show are they making?
I don't know. And it's a train wreck, but it's a somewhat successful train wreck. And I have no idea what the numbers are because you don't usually get that streaming. I guess it's doing well enough. I guess it's selling their streaming service well enough.
Well, it feels like it was gonna, right?
Yeah.
But
can I also
do you want to talk about the streaming?
Complain about the streaming service? Well, first, let me say what I was going to say about this and Orville. Can we have something in between?
Yeah.
Can we please have something in between? I'm really enjoying the Orville, but it's throwback. It's backtracking. There are some ways in which it's being modern sophistication and it's pushing some envelopes. But it would be really fun to have the serialized like House of Cards thing for Star Trek without the cynicism of House of Cards. Well, and even that would be preferable to not understanding what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying there's no optimism in House of Cards. It's a character study about a terrible person.
There's more optimism there than Discovery.
But it kind of like just because these are not people.
Yeah.
That's all. If you wanted to tell a really super dark Star Trek, maybe it's not Star Trek, but it could be like at least a show I'm enjoying. I would take that right now over what I'm getting.
Well, and part of the problem is just so much miscommunication because Michael is an unlikable, terrible person. But I don't think the show knows that.
And I don't know if she'll stay that way, but the problem is we're built on this. It's a little bit like Voyager, where we're built on a faulty premise in the first place. Janeway didn't have to strand us in the Delta Squadron. Well, there's no reason that had to happen. The whole show is built on it. Mm-hmm. We have a really similar thing with the mutiny thing, except this is a lot worse because we're told that she caused this problem, and she didn't cause this problem.
Yep.
But she also thinks she always knows better than everybody else. But then the problem is, I'm not sure she's ever wrong because nobody seems competent or nobody listens to each other. This is a show where I'm relieved when someone actually pays attention to another person in order to solve a problem.
Yeah.
That's not Star Trek. That shouldn't be anything.
That's not even the world!
No! So anyway, it's a quagmire. It's very bizarre. I'm still watching it because it says Star Trek on it. I don't know how not to. I said after the 4th episode I didn't know if I would even keep watching it. I've been a little bit too curious, and then Joe Manosky wrote a better script. It's probably the best episode so far. So,
you want to talk a streaming service?
The streaming service is nonsense. I got to pay $6 a month for this thing. I hesitate to even tell you that I'm doing that, but there's not really a better way to watch this, and I'm doing it for you, okay? So I'll keep talking about it if people want me to keep talking about it.
Addiction to Star Trek.
And yeah, sure.
You saw the books. You were here.
Yeah, yeah, all those years ago. But Anyway, and I will say that they have some news programs and like 60 Minutes and things there are some things on it that I didn't realize that would be there that kind of maybe make it worth it. You know, so anyway, it's if I have to pay that much just because I wanted to watch one show, again, I may watch other things.
And you know, this is the only reason anyone has your service is to watch this one show.
Yeah, for the most part. Again, I will say it is kind of cool that they put almost all of their programming on it, so like you wouldn't have to get cable for that. That's kind of nice, I guess. I will give them that, but it's broken. It doesn't work. I was trying to watch Discovery last night for this show. I had to preface. I keep saying it's work. Okay, that's why I'm doing it. But I tried to watch the show last night, and it did this glitchy thing I've never seen a streaming service do. The player is broken. It's terrible, and it's really inconsistent. It's not always messed up.
All 4 episodes I watched, we had
in the same
multiple
way.
times each episode. It stopped and had the buffer.
And it's not my internet.
It's not your internet because we can watch it. We can watch a whole movie on Netflix and it never stops.
Never does that. Yeah. What it was doing last night, I've never seen before. It would digital artifact, and then it would drop back 10 seconds, and then move forward. And then stop and then drop back again. I've never seen that. And
I've only seen it on DVDs.
And then a minute and a half later, it'll go to black screen with still the CBS logo in the corner. And then the only thing you can possibly do is come out of the app and shut the app down and open the app up again. At least it remembers where you left off. But, it's bad. And I was having problems with the app on my phone and then on my Roku stick. Like, it was doing the buffering thing at the same time. I had to wait 3 hours.
Because you haven't had the buffering problem on your phone as much.
A couple hours. Yeah, no, I haven't had that problem at all. Anyway, it's bizarre. So that's where I'm at with Discovery. I'm frustrated. I'm just frustrated. And they need to learn how to name episode titles. How is that choosing your pain? You pick another person to get... The Klingons, they make you choose another person in the cell with you to get tortured, so you don't have to, or beat up or whatever, so you don't have to, and they call that choosing your pain. I guess it's supposed to be like you're supposed to feel bad because they get, or maybe that's what it is. I guess that's what it is, because then at the end it's like we all choose our pain, and the pain that Lorca chose when he let his shipmates die was that the guilt of killing them and not dying. Maybe that's what it is. I just had to sit here and talk this out. I guess that's what it is. Okay, whatever. I retract. It's weird, but I retract my criticism, I guess. Okay. I want to talk about Power Rangers here in a minute. Oh, you know what? Gary Mason gave us a comment about Discovery that I was going to read, and since we haven't moved on yet, I'll go and do this real quick. He said, this is Gary Mason on Facebook, I would love to know, I've already talked about this now, but I would love to know if your thoughts on Discovery have changed now. There are a few more episodes out. I personally have given up now after 5, with the F-bomb being the final nail, but I really enjoyed your 2-hour in-depth on the first 3, and that was more fun to do because I had optimism and thought that could turn into a better show. And now it's just all over.
I didn't see the F-bomb, but my opinion on that is you lead with it.
Yeah,
that needs to be in your pilot.
If you're gonna have it,
if you're gonna have it, because up until that point, all I'd heard was we've had discussions about whether it's okay to swear when the ship gets hit, or whether it's okay to and they always said it was gonna be a little bit darker, it was gonna be a little bit edgier, might have a little bit more language, and we've had a lot of language up to this point. But that needs to be in your first episode. You need to up front say...
Because I showed one of these to my kid. I can't believe I didn't know that I shouldn't be doing that.
Yep.
When they it sucks because when we finally insert a little bit of awe and wonder in, that's when the F-bomb happens. That's what it is. The context is, that's effing cool. No, you're right, that is effing cool. That's what it is. It's like, we finally have a moment that's kind of more Star Trek, and that's how they do it, yeah. It's like, we can't have that unless we keep going to the modern, dark, edgy place with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, maybe that's where they used it?
But, if these people liked each other more, I'd kind of be more okay with that. Yeah, that's where they used it.
Wow.
And it was one of those moments where it felt like I was supposed to be relieved because characters were almost getting along. Anyway, hurts my feelings, dude. It's rough. Okay, before I go to Power Rangers, I want to talk about the giant robot duel. What did you think about the giant robot duel?
Did you watch it?
I went ahead and watched it. Yeah,
awesome.
I thought you would want to talk about it.
I did want to talk about it.
It's not exactly TV, but maybe it was televised. I'm not sure.
No,
it was on YouTube. But I couldn't think of a better place to talk about it, so we'll go and talk about it.
Yeah, I think I put it on the paper on the
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it real briefly.
Yeah.
If you want to. But what did you think of that?
I loved it.
Did you?
Yeah.
I thought it was a little lame.
I
honestly
finally understand sports. I would gather every week with my friends to watch giant robot fights.
I think there's a lot of potential for it.
That's viewing it through the lens of this being the ground level and not expecting anything great. I got more in this than I think I actually expected to. I expected the robots to be even lamer and you move even less, kind of.
Yeah.
So it was better than I thought it would be.
I thought some of the choices for what the robots could do were really cool and inventive. When you pulled out the chainsaw, that was really neat.
That was great.
The drone was cool. We lost a drone. I don't know what the point of that was.
It was just distracting them. Wasn't it?
Well, yeah, no, it was, but I don't know why that's a distraction unless you think maybe it will shoot something at you or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I thought they had a difficult time conveying what exactly was happening some of the time. Like, I gotta be honest with you, your color commentators weren't great. And
they weren't great. Although, when they almost die, it's hilarious. And
yeah, that's awesome, but I think that was scripted.
I couldn't tell.
That was the sense I got.
Because if it was,
I will say the commenters
really well.
were outraged. There were a bunch of commenters that hated it because they thought the whole thing was staged and scripted. And I don't get all of it being that way, but I thought that probably was. But I don't know. Who knows?
It felt like two things. One, because they've been saying
there's no reason they shouldn't have been in like a box or something with monitors. Like
yeah. So they've been saying since before this started that they want this to be a sports league, and it should.
We should probably set this up for people who don't know what we're talking about.
Yes.
There's Americans. There's an American team and a Japanese team that build giant, like multi-ton robots that they actually get in and pilot,
and they fight each other, which is my dream since I was a child.
And I mean, like, there's one that is 16 feet tall if it's standing.
Yeah.
Like, I also don't think they did a good job of conveying the size of them. Like, they're way bigger than they look.
Yeah.
It's because they're in a warehouse that has a super, super high ceiling, but it doesn't look that big.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry. They should have done outside.
So American guys made a mech, and they challenged Japan, who already has a mech, because of course they do, to a fight. They accepted, and I think they kickstarted to build the second mech. Because you see the first mech that they challenged them with, and thank God they made another one.
Yeah, because it just gets knocked over.
It just gets knocked over immediately. It's great.
The saddest, most boring thing. Oh, okay, well, game over. You just knocked it over.
I love that he just turns and then goes forward. And that's it.
Like, I saw that in a Powerpuff Girls episode. Like that.
But, so, there's two things I think is going on with this. One is, they have been saying since before this happened that they want this to be a sports league.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the fight, the first thing that the guy says is, "Let's make it a sports league now." So they frame it like
so impractical to me. I just don't see how it's cost effective.
I don't care.
Like, you just destroy these really expensive. No, I get that, but I just don't see how. Like,
yeah.
I don't see who would bankroll that.
I don't know. We bankroll a lot of things.
Yeah, but like this has got to be more expensive than like Formula Racing, and like I can't think of anything to the level that this would have to be if you were gonna bankroll, if you were gonna make it more than just 2 teams built robots. Mm-hmm. If this was like a league with a whole bunch, I don't see how you could afford it. Because like at least a car you can like keep rebuilding and fixing. These things are gonna get decimated and destroyed, and you have to start over like a lot. I would think
that's true, but we make. What is it? Demolition derbies and monster trucks and stuff. They all get wrecked.
Yeah, but they wouldn't cost what this costs.
That's true. That's true.
You know, and they also don't have like the sophisticated technology put in them where you have like pre-programmed moves and things. Which was awesome, but
yeah. So they want this to be a sports league, and while that may be impractical, I want more than anything in the world. I want this to be a sports league. That would be the coolest thing.
Also, you got people right now complaining that football's too dangerous. Oh my God, this is really dangerous.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. So because they want to be a sports league, I think they tried to make it look like a sports event.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
Although I love that the purple-haired girl.
She was really cool.
Yeah. I really liked her.
Yeah, I liked her too.
But
at first I thought she was really biased. She was like really excited about the Japanese guy, and then you couldn't care less about the American guys. But then I didn't get that sense the second fight. So
yeah, but so I think
guys are lame. You got knocked over.
They structured it to be like a pseudo sports event, and that comes off a little cheesy. And I also think they spend a little bit too long before they get to the actual fight, which is a complaint everyone has about sports anyway. So you know,
yeah, sure. They nailed that. They should have had a halftime show.
I think the other problem is without that, we wouldn't know what's happening. Where they get stuck, they do need some kind of commentary, because when they get stuck, we would not know what is happening.
Yeah.
So they do actually need announcers.
Oh no, I think they do too. I just think that they didn't even go far enough in explaining to us sometimes what was going on. Like, it took a while before I understood what the paintballs were even doing.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were just bouncing off. And I mean, like, they had a couple of misfires at the beginning, but then later it was like, oh, that's actually causing damage. Like,
yeah.
I don't think the photography was very good.
No.
We didn't get close enough to it.
It's this real sad thing where I feel like we finally have giant robots that can fight each other, and not enough people actually care. Because I don't think people actually care until they're bigger and they are more advanced. Like,
yeah, they got to get the sport figured out first.
Yeah, we've done this for like 10 years.
I'm not saying
like,
this couldn't be really cool. Yeah, and it's a fine starting place.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm viewing it as. This is not what I want it to be, but this is a great.
No,
starting
I guess I'm
place,
just reviewing. I'm just saying what's there. You know,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I'm glad I watched it.
I'm really excited. I think it's awesome that this exists, even if only once.
Those guys are ingenious.
Yeah,
they have some really cool ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was super cool. I don't
really understand why the Americans got 2 mechs. I don't really get why they got to do that.
Because the first one was what they initially built and challenged them with, and then the Japanese wanted to do. I think it was the fist fighting.
Well, I know it was hand-to-hand combat. I get that, but like, why did they get to come in with 2? Why not just say you have to build another one? They can do both.
I think they just wanted to see what that first one was able to do.
Oh, okay.
I think
that's cool.
And I also think they built a whole new one from the ground up. Where I think the Japanese just modified their existing mech.
The way they set it up, if you like, I feel like they did that standard. This might sound awful, but they did that standard kind of fanboy like cliche gamer thing. I'm not saying every gamer is like this,
yeah.
But of like forgetting that you might be talking to people that don't know everything you know. I feel like it kind of has that problem a little bit, where if you come into this and all of your information is gotten from the video, the Americans look like they have a massive advantage for no good reason.
Yeah, and I've been following this for a while. I've been waiting for this.
Just explain that to us.
One of the things I think actually kind of lends to that
the production
is
seemed out of touch to me.
They announced the date, and then the date came past and it didn't happen. You know what I think happened? I think they had it on that date. Then they had to edit the video, but they didn't communicate that to anyone.
That's probably what happened.
So I was like,
yeah.
So is it not happening? What? And then I just woke up one morning, it was here, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
I really want it to be a sport. I want. Look, we're living in the future. We have all of this stuff. Give me my giant robot fighting league. I want it.
Real briefly, let's talk about a couple other TV shows.
Sure.
Just retro things that we did. We watched a little bit of Freakazoid this week. I hadn't seen this in eons either.
Neither have I.
A whole bunch of just things that I watched when I was a kid that I haven't seen in forever. This was an interesting watch because there were a bunch of things that I remembered kind of exactly the way they happened, but the flavor of it was totally different.
And it's all in the first 2 episodes. We only watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, and the big scene that I remember from the show that I'm always quoting is in the 2nd episode. The kids around the campfire, and that was exactly the way I remembered it. I don't know if you've heard me quote that. I quote that all the time.
I'm not sure if I've heard you quote it.
We're like, wouldn't it be the scariest thing in the world would be if you reached for something and it wasn't there because it turned into wood. And like I always thought that was the funny. I was terrified I would go back and watch this and that scene would be different. I had it word for word all these years. It was exactly the same. But yeah, I couldn't believe that was the 2nd episode, which makes me wonder how much of the show I've actually watched. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a large majority of the show. Like I watched this on TV, but it's not a show that I watched a lot of. Yeah. Just because I don't feel like it was on that much when I was watching, but maybe I'm wrong.
Edie is just totally random and all over the place and does not care if anyone is watching it.
No, this is... We said this while watching it. This and Space Ghost, these are the precursors of Adult Swim. Adult Swim exists now because this show could come out right now on Adult Swim and it would feel tame.
It's Space Ghost.
Yeah.
No, it would feel tame. But like, there were bits where I was like, I don't know if kids should watch this.
The hands.
Yeah. When there was sexual innuendo all over it.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's really
it holds up.
Really holds up.
I was really surprised by that. And that Johnny Quest thing was funny.
Yeah.
We talked about that because that was, you said it was made for a different show.
It was made for Animaniacs, and they just dropped it in this show because they didn't have a place for it, or Animaniacs ended, or something like that.
That's hilarious. I liked the parody of the Animaniacs song for Freakazoid, sung by the Animaniacs. Yeah. That was pretty great.
Because it's a lot of the same production. This is still presented by Steven Spielberg. Yes, Steven Spielberg.
Right. Yeah.
It's really good. It's funnier, I think, as an adult.
Yeah.
Like going back to this, I'm like, oh, this is really funny.
It's definitely like The Simpsons or something where you go back and you look at it and it's entertaining on a totally different level. Like,
and it's got some real smart. The first episode kept commenting on like how dumb it is, and now this scene that you know, I'm sure this has no reason for anything. Like it's really smart.
Screamo-vision is one of my favorite things. Scream. And when we went and saw Happy Death Day, I kept doing that to Eric.
Scream.
Like Scream. Ah! Anyway, so so Freakazoid's still great. We may watch some more of that and talk about it at some point if there's stuff we feel the need to weigh in on. At the very least, we should talk about the Ricardo Montalban episode.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen that in forever, and he has a whole parody of the Revenge is the Best
nice.
thing, and yeah, it's great. So we should talk about that. And then you introduced me to Big O.
Yes.
This is the anime that I mentioned earlier on the Omnibus. So I only watched the first part of a 2-part pilot. So I haven't finished even the
we watched episode 1
story in this. But why don't you set this up real quick?
Okay. So
because I'm sure there's people that don't know anything about this.
Big O is a show. You know,
especially because this hasn't been in print for a while.
Yeah, this just finally hit Blu-ray, and I purchased this because I've wanted this for years, and it was just out of print and really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a show that originally aired in America on Toonami, and then it was moved to Adult Swim, and did well enough that we got a second season because of us. Did not do super well in Japan. Very, very Western sensibilities from the production. Sunrise is a company that did animation for Batman the Animated Series, and that was a big inspiration. This was like, well, we want to do a series that looks like that. And so it's a very kind of American noir kind of a thing. A lot of it looks very American. There's a lot of things. People don't bow, they shake hands. It's all very American. But it's also like, I don't want to call it steampunk, like retro future giant robot and sometimes giant monsters show. It's about a city called Paradigm that 40 years ago there was a big event and no one can remember anything from before that. Everyone's memories are gone. It's a city of amnesia, and and
it's all about like, what do you do if you don't know your own history?
Yeah, and how much do memories make up you as a person and things like that.
And I'm not sure how that connects yet with the AI, is it a person question, but I guess I'll figure that out as I watch the show.
Yeah.
Because that's also in there, which sometimes almost feels, because you're talking about how American it is, but sometimes that almost feels like, obligatory thing in Japanese science fiction animated things, right?
Is a robot girl?
Where there has to be a robot girl that may or may not be human, and we got to question her humanity, and like I feel like I've now seen that in every science fiction thing that's made by the Japanese.
It's not My Hero Academia. Oh, that's not science fiction.
And I haven't watched it yet.
That's true.
I
That's
only
true.
read it.
So
I assumed in volume 2. That was my assumption.
So we watched the first episode. I think it's safe to say super stylized.
Super stylized. Yeah, such a classy looking show.
Yeah.
Hold on. I got to pick up my cookie. It's super stylized. It's got such a sense of style. It comes out swinging like right away. It's such a confident show. It's kind of like nothing I've ever seen. It's such an amalgamation of a lot of different things. And I totally see that Batman the Animated Series kind of influence. I think their lead character looks like Bruce Wayne.
Roger Smith.
Yeah,
the most memorable
Roger
name
Smith.
on the planet.
He looks like Bruce Wayne. I think it's kind of anime Batman with Max, kind of.
Which is what I've always kind of pictured to you as.
But it's got so many other sensibilities. The thing I was most impressed with was the score. It's all over the place, but it totally works. It's like it was. I think it was also looking at Shirley Walker and going, "Wait, out Shirley Walker." It's got this really cool kind of noir flavor through a lot of it. And suddenly it just turns into a giant mech thing. But it goes to that really jazzy place during that. But then when disturbing things happen, it has a really scary, like disturbing kind of horror soundtrack. And then it just turns into what if the A-Team had giant robots at the end. And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. Hopefully we're gonna try and watch.
I don't have a lot to comment yet until I've watched more of it. But.
I'd like to kind of recap when we get to the end of season 1 and then season 2, because they are kind of two separate beasts.
Sure, yeah.
Because season 1 ends and they don't know if they're getting a second season, and then it comes back and it's a little different. And you'll also finally get to experience an anime ending, where just nothing makes sense, and this has a terrible ending.
See, so what annoyed me about watching this with you is you said what I always hate to hear when I like something I don't expect to, or you know, I did not expect to like this, and you know my sensibility very well. But I watch an anime, I'm gonna get really excited if I like an anime because it's not usually my my go-to medium, and you're like, well, it's the anime for people who don't like anime. Why is it that everything I end up liking in something I don't usually care for ends up being the tilapia of that medium?
But in your defense, My Hero Academia is not that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You don't think that's tilapia?
No. It is superheroes, which makes it easier for you to go into, but it doesn't. It's got full-blown manga sensibilities.
Yeah.
This doesn't have the big exaggerated faces.
No, it doesn't.
And, I think that might be a little bit of that,
loved
but,
about it. Also, tilapia doesn't taste like a lot of fish I don't like, so there you go.
But, yeah, no, so we just watched first episodes, not a lot, but,
yeah, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I'm kind of going back to this for the first time. I watched the first couple episodes a couple of years back, but I never actually went back through the whole thing, so...